Morning, man. Let's talk this boxing this morning. I hope all is well. Had the news yesterday that the steroids bug is still popping through Canelo Alvarez's camp. What a shame, man. And I'm sorry, man, but it probably does sully Canelo Alvarez. But today we're going to talk about just the double standards in boxing, man, and Deontay Wilder, and how people are pretty much saying that Deontay Wilder, if he loses to Tyson Fury, how his career is over. And just the way that boxing is going, man, I think that is a really bad attitude to have, man. So I wanted to talk to you guys about that this morning. I'll wait as cats come on into the chat to say what's up. What's going on, Baltimore Racks? What's happening with you, man? Shout out to Baltimore, man. I got a lot of press yesterday on a video that I did about Gervonta Davis for not fighting my man Chris Colbert and going out there, moving up to dropping his belt at 130 pounds. Whole lot of people didn't like what I had to say about that, but it is what it is, man. Sometimes you just got an unpopular opinion, and that was that day, man. Ken Gray in the building. What's going on with you, Ken? I hope all is well with you. Hope the sun is shining where you are. That you're not in, that everything is going well with you. TJ Boxing and Sports. What's happening with you? Good morning. Good morning. I think I said what's good to Adrian Vent. We got 41 people in the house. Make sure you wipe your feet on the like button as you come on in and say what's up. But double standard is the order of the day, man. Double standards, double standard. John Mayfield, man, thank you, said Fannon. Waking up to a notification you are live is like a Christmas morning. Thank you, man. I appreciate that, man. It's going to be kind of tough on me this morning because I just could not sleep last night for nothing, man. I went to sleep at maybe 10 o'clock. I think I was up at 3, somewhere around 3 o'clock in the morning. And after that, I just laid in the bed the whole time, man, and could not get back to sleep to save my life. So if I seem like I'm dragging a little bit, that's because, I'm waiting for the coffee to kick in. But, we're not going to miss any good morning. We're not going to miss any good morning boxing talks, for sure, just because, I may be a little bit tired, man. Your lives are better and better. Thanks, man. I appreciate that, John, man. We working on it, man. Noop 6 Club, Phi New. What's going on, man? I'm a 6 Club too. So what's going on, Noop? How you feeling, man? Tiger Stripe said 8 fighters who beat Manny never got any credit for it. Literally none of them. Always excuses. Yeah, it's pretty much a shame, man. Once you get on the side of the media in boxing, and you're beloved, certain people get passes on anything, man. But Manny Pacquiao's not the first person to get that treatment. What's his name, man? Arturo Gatti got that treatment, man. Arturo Gatti was loved, whether or not he won a fight or didn't win a fight. But honestly, man, they really do get fighters like that tend to be people that give you really good fights. And, Manny Pacquiao definitely gives you very, very good fights for your money. So, I'm not saying that it's all bad that Manny Pacquiao continues to get chance after chance, and people still think he's the greatest ever because even though he's got 8 losses. I'm just saying that it would be nice if that same courtesy could be extended. If that same courtesy could be extended to other fighters, man, and other fighters wouldn't have to worry about always having a loss. And if they have a loss, nobody's ever going to fight them and all of that nonsense. If that was spread out a little bit more. He said, out of all the boxing commentator, I love your honesty. Thank you, man, Quincy. Yeah, man, I was getting blasted yesterday, man. I was actually in the comments section, man. I was getting kind of, they were kind of getting on me, man, yesterday about about what I had to say about Gervonta Davis. But it just is what it is, man. Like, you can't, every time that there's a good fight, man, we can't, the excuse always is that there's more money to be made somewhere else. And I'm wondering when boxing fans are actually going to get some of this money, man. That people say is somewhere else. We're the ones paying the money. And I think that a Chris Colbert fight would have been really great, man. Yeah, C-Cut said, you hear Oscar Valdez pop dirty for PEDs? Yeah, he popped dirty for a diuretic, man. And that is used to mask them. But, these guys are on that juice, man. And, and I think that Canelo's on the juice, man. Once you get popped dirty for performance enhancing drugs, man, that label's going to just stick with you, at least for me, because there's not enough penalties out here, or severe enough penalties to keep people from doing that stuff. So the risk reward for them is not there. They're like, Matter of fact, Oscar Valdez just went back training like wasn't nothing happening. The WBC is going to investigate it, but let's see if the WBC actually strips him. Actually strips him of that belt, and then we'll see, what the deal is, and see whether or not he's going to get fair treatment or not. But I guess they tested the A sample, so they got to test the B sample. But if it's anything like what happened over there with Dillian White, slap on the wrist at most. Cornelius Bright said, boxing is still the ultimate prize sport, and it's always been a sport where people choose the greats and heroes by coming to watch. Manny is a champion of an entire nation. He is a machine. Yeah, he's a machine, but, look, I can't get into all that country stuff because, honestly, man, I'm from the United States, man, and that's just where I am. That's where I see boxing. I would love, to be able to have this, international perspective where, where I could know how the people of their country feels from the seat that I'm sitting in, though. However, Manny Pacquiao is a very, very good fighter, and Manny Pacquiao's not a perfect fighter. And even though he's not a perfect fighter, he still is celebrated in the United States, very, very ardently celebrated in the United States. And there's a difference, a situation where you got Black American fighters who just don't get anywhere near the love, who don't get anywhere near the appreciation, even though they are out there fighting risking their lives, just like Manny Pacquiao's risking his life. And they've got a family that's behind them, just like Manny Pacquiao's got a family behind them. Got a family behind him. But I'm not saying that, this is some scenario where Manny Pacquiao, shouldn't be celebrated for the things that he's doing. What I'm saying is that Deontay Wilder shouldn't be torn down because he got into a ring with a cheater. You know what I mean? And that's the verbiage that I hear a lot coming up to this third fight between Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury, is that, Deontay Wilder's fighting his first career. Lou DiBella said it. If he doesn't win, his career is over. That is a whole lot of pressure to put on somebody where other people don't have that pressure. Canelo Alvarez is not a loss away from his whole career being over. He's going to get extended. Even Sergey Kovalev wasn't a loss from his career getting over. It seems like it's, just certain fighters that, that boxing wants to get rid of, that get that label on them. I'm sure. I mean, one of the reasons that Floyd Mayweather Jr. protected his so much is because if he would have lost a fight, man, they would have tried to trash Floyd Mayweather's whole career off of one loss, and that is, I do believe, people looking into the American black fighter. That's American black fighter experience. I don't think that's the experience of other people, man. And I just think it's a real shame that happens, man. Be Easy said, Manny's fans want to see him get killed in the ring. Let it go. He's done. Now he had a great career. Move on, Packites. Look, man, your Danny Zugas told him, look, if I fight you again, it's going to be easier the second time. And they really are walking in Manny Pacquiao into getting hurt, without a doubt. Because, man, Manny Pacquiao, honestly, man, at this point in time, dude, I don't think Manny Pacquiao beats any of those top welterweights. And a couple of those guys may actually cause some very, very serious damage to him. Like Terrence Crawford, I think may seriously damage Manny Pacquiao. And I know Errol Spence Jr. is going to do a job on him, without a doubt, man. See that? October 9th, Excuse Club, Wilder's career is over in 5 weeks' time. No, it's not. He's got a boxing match, dude. And he's got a boxing match. And you know what he's going to do after he has that boxing match? He's going to have another boxing match. He's going to have another boxing match. More than likely, people are going to, regardless if he wins or not, he's going to have another boxing match. These guys, can I ask you a question? Why wasn't Anthony Joshua's career over? Anthony Joshua got knocked out. His career wasn't over. More than likely what's going to happen with Deontay Wilder when this fight is that he's going to be fighting another fight. And his career is not going to be over. He'll continue to move on. Said, why wasn't it? One loss, people acting like he's a not elite boxer. Yeah, and at the same time, the thing is, it's the hypocrisy of it. Is at the same time that you're saying that he is not this, that he is not an elite fighter, you're saying that the fighter that he beat, that he lost, is one of the greatest heavyweights of all time. So why is it that, Tyson Fury is the best fighter in the world, but Deontay Wilder, for losing for him, sucks? You know what I mean? That's because you want Deontay Wilder to suck. You don't want that dude to receive the accolades that he deserves, man. Jermaine Avery said, "What up, Fannon? You're correct on black fighters. Wilder's black American men don't have a chance." Look, man. People can say that I'm paying the race card or whatever, man, but that really does seem like to be the common thread behind that, man. Evander, but it all goes away after the fight, because then there's going to be another need. Like how many more exciting heavyweights really are there in boxing? I mean, anybody that says Deontay Wilder is below a top 3 heavyweight is nuts. And it didn't Dillian White get knocked out? Dillian White keeps fighting. Dillian White got knocked smooth out 2 times and he keeps fighting. So, what's the deal, man? You just got, it's a bunch of hate. It's a bunch of hatred on Deontay Wilder, and it's not. He said, Jay Coley said, "I'm not black. You aren't playing any race card, Fannon." Yeah, I mean, look, I appreciate that. I'm just saying that's what it is. The funny thing is, though, the people that are most readily that, in my opinion, admit to racism in conversations the most easily are white people. Like, they will admit in a minute, like, yeah, that's what that is. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to say that it's an overwhelming trait, but I've just heard when they see it, a lot of times people will be like, yeah, that's what that is. It's a shame that that's what it is, but that's what that is. It's just the dislike of black people. Mule TB said, "Gay Weather is a true cherry pick coward, scared to give a rematch to Oscar and Manny Pacquiao." Man, I don't think he's scared to give a rematch to them dudes. He just made a bunch of moves and made it over. He just made a bunch of money and kept it pushing, man. You know what I'm saying? He made a bunch of money, kept it pushing. That's what it is. You got to have to live with the greatness. I know it sucks to have Floyd Mayweather Jr. hanging over your head, when you were really wishing so desperately that he would lose, but he didn't lose. You remember all those fights, like when Oscar De La Hoya, like every fight would be predicting that Floyd Mayweather Jr. was going to lose the fight, but he just never lost. He was like, Victor Ortiz is going to beat him. Every fight you guys gave those guys a chance. I'm telling you, man, that's one of the reasons that Floyd Mayweather Jr. made that much money. What's going on, Viva Tu Vida? Reason that he made so much money is because it says these guys would believe that anybody that got in the ring with Floyd Mayweather Jr. was going to beat him. And so he would just keep taking your money, even though you should have known going in that the fight wasn't going to be a competitive fight. Floyd was a special fighter, man, and you didn't have anybody at the welterweight division at the time that was really, really going to do anything to him. Yeah, and the gay weather thing, you guys got to get better jokes. Okay, the jokes suck. Okay. The gay weather thing sucks. Calling him a coward sucks. Dude, his career is over. It's in ink, man. It is what it is, man. Said he carried Paul like a surrogate mother during that fight. Yeah, but he needs to stop that shit, though. Now, on that, Floyd, it's like, come on, man. That should be the last one. That had to have dwindling interest in that sideshow now. Because, Floyd's not the same. Floyd, and to even want Floyd to be back in a boxing ring, man, is absolutely the same thing. Said same with John Jones. I don't pay as much attention to MMA, but is John Jones a situation where John Jones needs to retire? That would be, where he just keeps pushing it and the time is over. Brilliant Boxing Media. People are still mad Floyd made all that money in the ring. Hey, man, be mad, dude. Man, I'm dying today. You guys got to excuse me, because I did not get the sleep that I needed to get last night. So I might be dragging a little bit, man. If I'm dragging, you guys got to put something in the comment section that says, hey, Fannon, don't drag. I'm trying not to drag, but it's kind of tough, man. I think I might have had 5 hours of sleep less than 5 hours of sleep last night. J. Cole said, true, I don't like them involved, Fannon, and Nepal's easy way to wealth compared to real boxers just exemplifies the problem. Yeah, I mean, definitely way easier. I mean, I don't know if I would call it easy because, they had to do something to get famous in the first place on YouTube. And it's not easy. It's not easy, for them to accomplish what they've accomplished. So I don't want to take away anything from them, they're showing bravery by getting in the ring, and all of that. But I'm just telling you, they're itching for a real whooping if they ever get in there with a real boxer. And eventually they're going to get pushed to the point where that's what they have to do. They're not just going to continue to get away with having pay-per-views with MMA, with ex-MMA guys, man, because the interest has got to wane at a certain point in time, man. You know what I mean? Because we're kind of like been there, done that, But in real boxing, all of a sudden, the thing about with real boxing is that there's always that you have a lot of black people hate Jones. Well, my understanding is Jones was a juicer, dude. GSP versus Mayweather, man, look, dude, it just needs to stop, man. Well, let me put it this way. I'm much more interested in what's happening in the purse bid tomorrow with Terrence Crawford and Sean Porter than I am with some fantasy MMA fight, boxing MMA thing. I mean, that whole thing started with Floyd Mayweather Jr. and Conor McGregor, and it was huge. With Floyd Mayweather Jr. and Conor McGregor. It was one of the biggest fights ever. But every single one of those things has just gone down and down and down. And now you can't use Floyd Mayweather. You can't use like a legitimate boxing star. So they're using YouTube stars. But eventually, that's just going to kind of run its course. What's going on, Richard Hill, man? How you feeling this morning? He said, John Jones married a white wife and got an entire white training. He don't associate with black people. Well, he is black. He ain't got no chance. He ain't got no choice but to associate with himself. What time? I don't know what time the purse bid is, but it's televised, man. They're going to televise that purse bid. That's going to be wild. That's the first time. Hey, man, King Judah said Jones is not a juicer, Fannon. You're falling for the narrative against him. No, I mean, I got inside. Somebody inside told me that the reason that I went with him being a juicer is because of what I heard about the gym, man. I didn't hear that from like people in the media. I heard that from somebody in MMA, and they were like, yeah, that they were talking about that gym had people that were in there. You know what I mean? Man, I'm sorry, man, for the yawning. Roger Womack, what's going on, man? Hope you're well, man. Jeremy Avery said, Fannon, I'm still trying to figure out why the ABC didn't get involved like with the WBC, like they control all boxing. Well, I would love for them to get involved with the WBC and fix the WBC. I don't know. I think the reason that they got involved was he said I love Cocaine Jones, but he's a juicer. Jones refused a drug test in the past. Oh, okay. Yeah, look, somebody told me about him. So, that's all I can say. I can't say that he tested positive or whatever. I just know that somebody that I respect in the MMA world who covers MMA and doesn't have a reason, and is generally supportive of Jones was like, look, yeah, that's what it is. He's like, and he said it, then they said it about several other of those guys in MMA. But that's the truth. You can look at these guys' bodies, man, and know that shit's the truth, dude, that these guys are going over the edge with those steroids. But, it's just what it is, man. That's at this point in time, man, I'll say something about Oscar Valdez and all that, but I don't really see that problem being solved in sports, man. I'm looking at golfers like these dudes look like they're juicing. Like, how does your body get like that big? I mean, from doing what you do. I mean, I know that they're out there weightlifting and doing all that, but it's just too many really extremely physically fit people. And some people just look like balls of steroids, like Canelo Alvarez. When you do freeze frame Canelo Alvarez, and when he's punching, just the amount of muscle that's bubbling over on Canelo Alvarez, it's just, it's excessive. You know what I mean? It's excessive. And it's like, how can you spend that much time in the weight room, to build all of that daggone muscle and train? But, look, as long as, the money, as long as it's big money in it, people are going to look away for a way to cheat. And as long as there's networks involved in it that just, don't want scandals, they're going to find a way to look the other way when they're doing it, man. Billy and the Hood, what is this? Billy D and the Hoodoos, Money Mayweather, the most precise, calculated, execute the plan to near perfection boxer maybe ever. TBE, hit the don't get it. What is it? hit and don't get hit credo. If you truly love sports, you got to give major props. Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Floyd Mayweather Jr. was the best that did it when he was doing it, but he ain't the only one. There's a lot of fighters that are excellent fighters, man, besides Floyd Mayweather, and nobody's perfect. There were periods of times in Floyd Mayweather's career during fights where, oh, geez. Thanks. Hey, you Baldy. Hey, Fannon. Yeah, you Baldy. Pacquiao, GOAT, greatest of all time. Hit the bias bell, everyone. Where's the bias, man, in the numbers? He lost 8 times. He lost 8 times, man. And that's, it's not once. It's not twice. It's 8. Isn't it? Did he lose 8 times? Something like that? 8 times? Come on, man. Stop. You got beat 8 times. More than likely, you're not the greatest ever. You know what I mean? Not saying that you can't get beat and still be great, but it's not like he lost 8 times and he had 150 fights. He had 70 fights and he lost 8 times. That's like 10% of your fights, man. Supervise, your hairline lost 10 times. Ha ha ha, Pacquiao the GOAT. My headline, if that makes you feel better, you know what I'm saying? Like if the fact that I don't grow hair makes you feel better about Manny Pacquiao, you're easy to satisfy. I will tell you that, man. That is good for you. I'm really glad that you have that. I'm glad that you have that, that resilience about yourself, that all it takes is to make you feel better is that I'm bald. What does my bald head got to do with Manny Pacquiao? Zero, zilch, not a thing. Cut a break, man. Like you're easily satisfied, man. Without a doubt, very easily satisfied. A lot of clowns in here today. Yeah, because I mentioned Manny Pacquiao. I made a mistake. I probably shouldn't have. But I don't get to see. Ali lost 5 years of his career. I think it was more like 3 years. Anyway, Fannon, what's your thoughts on the purse bid going down? That it better be $10 or it's better be $10 million bid on that fight, or I'm gonna lose some money to Fahim Sator. That's what I think. I think there better be some. I think that there really better be $10 million out there for the fight. What I'm telling you what I'm hoping. I'm hoping what happens with the purse bid is that the PBC wins the purse bid to put that on pay-per-view. And the reason that they didn't come to an agreement is that they were trying to cut Top Rank out and figured that they could beat him at a purse bid. There's a whole lot of Triller? I don't know, man. I don't know if Triller's going to get that fight, man. I think that would be a great fight for them to try to get. But my bet is that PBC is going to win that purse bid, because that is a fight that's a Eddie Reynoso needs to change his food truck. Exactly, dog. Acting like these boys ain't juicing, man, for all that money, man. Man, they got high school girl tennis players juicing to get college scholarships. High school track runners juicing to get college scholarships and cheat other kids up out of that, man. But Baltimore Rack said, why is this dude describing how another man looks? I don't know, man, because people think bald jokes work. I'm telling you, man, I got some insecurities in my life, but, being bald really is not one of them. You know what I'm saying? Like how I look is not one of my insecurities. You would have to dig a little deeper and find something, a little bit more substantive to get me riled up on a YouTube, on a live stream. At least now. I used to get more riled up, but we're not going that way anymore. But that's what I hope. I hope that the PBC wins it, and that the reason that the PBC, the reason that it had up going to purse bid is because the PBC figured that they could beat him in a purse bid and get control of the entire fight. And that they would then go on to maybe have Terrence Crawford want to sign with the PBC, because that's the real big signing. That's the real big question for Terrence Crawford. Besides this fight, is will he sign with the PBC and go where they can really make really good fights for boxing fans? You know what I mean? Roger Womack said, "Hey Martin, Canelo might get upset by playing." Yeah, I think that there's a chance. I think that there's definitely a chance. That he could get upset by him. I do believe that because of his footwork and Manny Pac and and his knees, and the fact that Canelo Alvarez's knees aren't exactly the best. You know what I mean? Look, Super Vowels, Mrs. Pacquiao. Pacquiao is not an 8 division champion. He's a 6 division champion. I say 7. BFTB says 6. BFTB is more accurate because he didn't fight in the 154-pound division. He fought in the 152-pound division when he fought for a catch weight. I do believe with Miguel. I thought it was Miguel Cotto. Did he fight with that catch weight? But he's won it in 6 divisions, which is a lot of divisions to be certain. But 6 is not 8. And you guys can put stuff, in all of you can keep writing it down, but it doesn't make it true, because people that are seriously, are invested in it and are going to try to do the research to see whether or not you're telling the truth are going to see that Manny Pacquiao did not win titles in 8 divisions. That's just not the truth. You know what I mean? And no matter how many times you say it, it doesn't become the truth. It's not the truth. Manny Pacquiao is a 6 division champion. He is not an 8 division champion. You guys are exaggerating. And I truly wish that you would stop exaggerating on that man, because you don't have to exaggerate on him. He did not win a title at 140 pounds, and he did not win a title at 154 pounds. Damian Sin said 8 division, 8 losses means he wasn't dominant. You know what Manny Pacquiao is? And this is how I see it. Manny Pacquiao, what is this? Anybody who endorses a racist ideology in the 21st century has a serious case of cognitive dissonance. Yeah. Yeah. I would agree with that. Anybody that embraces it and believes that that's the way the thing should operate. But there's a lot of that in boxing, man. A lot of people are that way. And they don't see it themselves. Like my dad used to tell me that, a lot of racists don't see themselves as being racist. They see themselves as making reasonable, having reasonable opinions based on what their observations are. But they don't necessarily get, how skewed their observations are by their point of view. You know what I mean? And by the television that they watch and the people that they hang around, that's, it's just, a lot of people don't believe that they are. It's like a lot of men don't believe that they're sexist, but in certain ways, man, like you are sexist. You may not appreciate it because you're a man and you've been taught that that's how it is and that's the way it's supposed to be. But if you really look at it from a woman's perspective, then you see that there are certain things that you believe that she should do and things that she shouldn't do based on simply because she's a woman. Yeah, dude, you may have a little sexism in you. And it's not something that you can necessarily see unless somebody points that out to you. So a lot of these, but I don't necessarily think that, these guys that are all Manny Pacquiao, most of these Manny Pacquiao fans, I don't think that they're racist. I just think that they're just got their head up his behind and are in love with the dude and are going to root for him no matter what he does and is going to, and all of that stuff. So, it is what it is. He's going to have a fan base of Filipinos that are going to be very, very actively support him because they're his countryman. And what else do they got in boxing? Casemiro. I mean, when Manny Pacquiao's, and they love boxing. So when Manny Pacquiao goes, you got to go back to cheering for American black fighters, And that's another thing. I know y'all got sick of black fighters being at the top of boxing and purposely tried to skew it the other way. And it's killing boxing, man. You don't even want these guys to fight, man. When is the last time that you had one of your superstar fighters really consistently fighting black fighters? Not Canelo Alvarez, or better yet, not in a situation where people are demanding that he does. And it's just or demanding that these fighters get these fights. Like yesterday, man, I was like really disappointed. Not disappointed, but I did a video on Smooth TB. I can't believe you guys are actually back, man. Like, don't you know your boy got bust up? You know what I mean? Don't you know your boy got bust up, and for you to still be here running your mouth is just like kind of crazy. You know what I mean? But hey, do your thing, man. If Deontay Wilder were to lose, I'd still be supporting Deontay Wilder. You know what I mean? Because he's one of the most exciting things in boxing. Boxing, hey, man, I'm telling you, man, you guys don't like exciting boxing for some reason. Because all of Deontay Wilder's fights are like you sit on the edge of your seat wondering, you know, like, man, when's it going to drop? When's it going to drop? Or is it going to drop? And there's a lot of tension around that fight the whole time, man. When you watch a lot of these other guys' fights, there's no tension in the fight because you already know what's going to happen. You know, there's no real tension in Canelo Alvarez fights because he's fighting. I don't want to say he's fighting dead bodies, but he's just fighting guys. He's just fighting guys where you don't even have any doubt about how the fight's going to turn out. You know what I mean? And he's not done yet. Oh, he's done, dog. I mean, Manny, you guys may not be done with Manny Pacquiao, but Manny Pacquiao's done. Okay? You're not done with him, but Manny Pacquiao's done. Just sorry. Manny Pacquiao, you can just, hey man, take him off the grill, put him in some tin foil because that man is overcooked. There ain't no way he's winning a belt, man. Like I'm telling you, I don't think Manny Pacquiao is going to be able to win a belt in the wrestlers. And that means I'm talking about any of those belts. You know, maybe unless you're talking about like an NABF fight, Manny Pacquiao needs to have his last fight be over there in the Philippines, have a bunch of people cheer for him, get a win over there against somebody he knows he can beat, and keep it pushing. But dude, he's several weight classes over his actual weight. He's very, very small for the weight class that he's in, and all of his advantages are gone because his speed is gone. And it's obviously gone at that. It's not kind of gone. It's obviously gone. Like he's not, there's no magic bullet there's no magic trick that he's going to pull in this next fight to be able to get himself to the point where he's really going to be able to throw hands like he used to throw hands. I mean, you just lose your ability. And yeah, Manny Pacquiao got an excuse every time he loses, but look, dude, he feels like he should win every fight, and that's cool. I don't really care. I mean, the excuses are like, I don't really even care when fighters make excuses for why they lost because, you know, as long as you take responsibility for it and then you out there trying to fix it, you know, Manny Pacquiao at least is somebody that wants to run rematches. You know what I mean? And, you know, but, you know, I just wish you guys would just like, look, man, we've got a lot better young fighters that we could be watching, you know, like there are really good fights that boxing fans kill. I did a video yesterday on Chris Colbert and Gervonta Davis. And I'm telling you, man, it was like every other comment was, oh, why would you want to see that fight? That fight's bullshit. Tank will kill him. You know, that's not about the money. He's moving up to, he's going to get his money. He's going to get his money up. And like, why do I care, man? Look, we got 268 people in the building, 122 likes, man. Let's get the likes up, man. It would be greatly appreciated if you would do that for your boy, man. So Manny was preparing for soccer in his training videos, not boxing. Now he may have really blown his legs out. He may have left it in training. He might have left it all in training. You know, that can happen when you feeling excited. You can leave it all. You can leave it. I did that in a track meet one time. I was feeling really good. Took too many practice jumps and left it in the warm-ups. By the time I got to the jumping, my legs were pretty much feeling dead. You know, but I was feeling really good in the warm-ups. But when I got to the actual jumping, I felt like my legs were dead, man. Fannon, why are you hating Pat, man? Shut up. I can't even do that. I didn't hate. I'm trying to help Pacquiao. I'm not hating Pacquiao. I'm trying to help Pacquiao. I'm trying to help Pacquiao fans move on to the next. You know what I mean? Move on to the next. And the next could be the next great fighter, but you're never going to know because we spend so much time on the old ones. I can't believe so many people were against the fight against Chris Colbert versus Gervonta Davis, as if that's not a great fight. Like, it's like we can't see great fights. I mean, Chris Colbert, if that fight was going to happen, like if they were two up and coming fighters and we had the ability to see that fight, I would be absolutely amped for that fight. But, you know, that's just not the way it's cooking these days. You know what I mean? J. Cole said, I want that fight for non. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Because I'm like, look, dude, he dropped the WBA belt not to fight him. And people were like, yeah, maybe he'll get knocked out. Maybe he won't get knocked out. Let's see the fight. Chris Colbert is a better fighter than Rolly Romero, man. Like, he's a better fighter than Rolly Romero. You do not know that man is going to get knocked out by Gervonta Tank Davis. You do not know that. You know what I mean? You do not know if Shakur Stevenson is going to get knocked out by Gervonta Davis. You don't know it. You know what I mean? Those are real fights with real fighters, dude. You know what I mean? Those fights have an opportunity. Those are real opportunities to see what the fighters are made of, man. But it's like, I don't know if you got a cheering chorus that just, I mean, what do you want? Who do you want him to see? Who do you want to see him fight that he can fight? You know what I mean? At least the Chris Colbert fight is a makeable fight. You know, a fight that you know that they got enough money to pay for the fight. It's a fight with interest, but like Gary Russell Jr. There's no interest in a Gervonta Davis versus Gary Russell Jr. fight. Hey, Smooth B, I don't really block people, but you're trying to get me to talk about Manny Pacquiao. Right now, I'm not even talking about Manny Pacquiao, and you're asking me about Manny Pacquiao. The reason that I brought Manny Pacquiao up is really because of Deontay Wilder and all of this stuff that I keep hearing about Deontay. If Deontay Wilder loses, then that's it for Deontay Wilder's career. You know what I mean? That's where you're hearing me talk about that. Now, I'm not trying to just bash. Should have blocked him 15 minutes ago, to be fair. Yeah. I guess the wrenches ain't as high, it aren't as violent as they used to be. You used to have a bunch of cats in the channel that will without a doubt block you for saying dumb stuff. But look, man, I don't know what you want me to do, man, about Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao, I wouldn't say be easy that he's irrelevant. I'm just telling you that he's on his way to getting hurt. You know what I mean? A Manny Pacquiao fight will still sell. People will still get out there and be interested in Manny Pacquiao. But Manny Pacquiao is, I mean, you're going to get your boy hurt. You keep rah-rahing for him and you keep putting pressure on him to fight, because that's what you're doing. When you rah him and talk about how great he is, you're egging that man on to fight some more. And honestly, man, don't you think he's done his duty already? If he's the greatest fighter ever, don't you think he's already done it? And the greatest fighter ever, those guys lose in the end of their career. So it's not even like, the loss against Yordenis Ugas should really, affect what people think about him for over, on the long haul. But what I think of Manny Pacquiao is he's an exciting fighter. And people like exciting fighters. And that's the good thing. He was an exciting fighter. He wasn't the best fighter in the world. He's not the most technically skilled fighter in the world. He wasn't some invincible fighter that you never see lose, or you never have, any doubt, that he was never in his entire professional career the best fighter in boxing. Except for if you say for the couple minutes that one of those fake retirements that Floyd Mayweather Jr. took, that people jumped on to put Manny Pacquiao in the top 10 pound for pound. That's, similar to Ali Holmes, man, I cry. Yeah, man. That's exactly it. I mean, and Ali Holmes doesn't steal from Ali's greatness just because he lost to Larry Holmes. It doesn't mean that he's not, a great fighter and all that stuff. He is a great fighter. But it just means that, look, he fought and he gave boxing everything he had to give. And once you give boxing everything that you have to give, man, that's a hard place to be, because some of that stuff that you need to give, you need to keep for yourself. That's why, with Andre Ward, I was like, Andre Ward retired too early, man. And I was shocked that Andre Ward retired the way that Andre Ward retired. And then Andre Ward stayed retired. But, Andre Ward is 100% right. Like, Andre Ward, now can speak, you can hear him talk, right? He's not mumbling or any of that stuff. His mind is alert for his kids and his wife, but he didn't go out there and say, oh, I'm just going to keep fighting. I'm going to go all the way up to heavyweight and do all that. In fact, somebody who's very fortunate to be talking straight is Roy Jones Jr., because Roy Jones Jr. definitely is somebody that I think took his career, and fought it way too long. Look, we got 272 people in the building, 159 likes, man. Let's get the likes up. We got 10 Pacquiao fans that didn't like it, but it is what it is. You guys are just going to have to live with it, man. J. Cole said, not at all a dent on his legacy, just worried about his health and retirement. They give us everything. They should enjoy the second half of their lives. Absolutely, man. You know what I mean? Absolutely. You don't want people sounding like Riddick Bowe. Like in Riddick Bowe, I don't even recall Riddick Bowe really taking that much punishment. I think Riddick Bowe lost one fight. He lost to Vander Holyfield one time. Other than that, he didn't lose a fight. But you see how Riddick Bowe sounds in a ring? Man, Riddick Bowe he has some of that brain damage for sure. Or like one of my favorite fighters is James Toney. Like James Toney, was staying in that pocket and all that, but he fought too long against some too big of guys, and then boom, he's talking like that. And hey, yeah, DJ Air Alert said 10 Pac fans crying in the car. Yeah, and it's okay because you got to run. Fahim Sator, right on time. Fannon, how much does Al Heyman like Sean Porter? Enough to put him on pay-per-views. Look, man, I got a video coming out. You're going to like the video, Fahim Sator. Tomorrow is the date. We'll get to see what happens we'll get to see for sure what happens in the purse bid. But remember that when the purse bid is won, that's not going to be the end of it. But I do agree, if that purse bid comes in under $10 million, that it is going to be very, very difficult to make that fight. That fight has got to be that somebody's got to bid major money for that money to be there for Sean Porter. And yeah, Sean Porter is definitely a likable guy as a commentator. But man, I'm telling you, I'm really glad Sean Porter changed his style and started boxing more from the outside, because I'm telling you, man, I don't know if it was an injury, what it was, but for several years there, I was like, man, I like Sean Porter outside the ring, but inside the ring, man, this guy is the dirtiest he's the dirtiest fighter I have ever seen. Like, how do these people not see what he is doing in this ring? And I'm telling you, that's what he's going to probably wind up bringing in there against Terrence Crawford. Copper Aborigine said, Martin, I thought you were going to take that purse bid. Ah, man, I wish I had the money. Shoot, I wish I had that money. I ain't got that type of dough. You know what I'm saying? Heck no. I'm doing okay in life, man. I'm blessed. Eating, got a roof over my head and all that good stuff, but I ain't got no 10 million to go flinging around on no purse bid, man. That's them big monies. Would Jake beat Tommy? I don't even know who Tommy is. Jake Paul beat Tommy who? Who's Tommy? You guys, I'm telling you, man, I can't do Jake Paul, dude. I can't. He's good at adapting his style. Yeah, he's a really smart guy. Look, I can't do Jake Paul. Okay. I'm sorry, man. I can't. I'm sure he's a nice guy and all that, but I'm telling you flat out, I cannot do Jake Paul. Can't do it. I don't think that's good for the sport of boxing. I think it's a distraction. I think that it encourages more crap fights, because honestly, man, that's a crap fight. Like that's what people paid $50 for, knowing that they were going to watch a garbage fight, and everybody's acting like that fight's not garbage. But I know full well every boxer that was watching that fight was thinking, this is a garbage fight. You know what I mean? It is just what it is. It's a garbage fight. And it's a garbage fight that people get entranced into because of a lot of talking. But if you do that with boxing, you get better. People complain about real boxing matches way more than they complain about the fake ones. You know what I mean? Jess Dev said, Fannon, who do you think will win if Pac and Terrence Crawford finally meet in the ring? I think I got Errol Spence. Provided Errol Spence Jr. is not injured, I got Errol Spence Jr. in that fight, because I think that for style reasons, I got him all day, because all of the pressure that Errol Spence Jr. brings, he really gets in people's chests and makes you fight the whole time. Yeah, it is what it is, man. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. He said, "Want a garbage fight? Watch Pacquiao." Honestly, man, I thought that was a really good fight. I thought Manny Pacquiao versus Yordenis Ugas was a good fight, but that's because I had my rep on the line in that fight because I was like talking too much. I wasn't talking a lot of crap. Like I wasn't talking crap about the fight, but I was being pretty much straight, letting you know that Manny Pacquiao was too old. So I was watching that fight intensely to see if I was going to be wrong or not, because I had been wrong the last time that I said the same thing about Keith Thurman, because Manny Pacquiao still has something left in the tank. But right now, Manny Pacquiao ain't got nothing left in the tank, man. So, it's at the bottom. It's at the bottom of the barrel for that, man. Man, thank you for supporting in the super chat, man. My man, Baltimore Racks, he said, who sells more, Porter or Jake Paul? Honestly, Martin. I probably would say Jake Paul. I would say Jake Paul. But I would probably say Jake Paul. Jake Paul's a sideshow, man. Jake Paul's a sideshow. And freak shows, people come in to see the freak shows. Who puts on the better fights? Who would I rather watch fight? I'd rather watch Sean Porter fight. Any day of the week, man. But Jake Paul is he's got a lot of marketing behind him, and he's the only one. He's the only guy that's out there really doing it like that, So he's got his niche or whatever. But I'm telling you that, exactly. Backstreet Boys, man. Yeah, Backstreet Boys might have sold more than Nat King Cole. That don't mean that they're good boxers. That don't mean that they're good singers, Did KSI drop the ball doing music? I don't know, man. Look, you guys getting introduced to boxing, I don't buy that nonsense that Jake Paul is selling. Where if you watch me fight, then you'll get interested in boxing, and then you'll go watch the real fighters fight. No, man. I don't know if that's going to work like that. Boxing needs to fight for boxing. Boxing, this is really a time right now where these boxing promoters really need to gather and need to flush their egos, man. Because I know Top Rank on ESPN is not doing particularly well with their viewership. DAZN, man, in the United States, DAZN is crashing and burning. These guys need to all get on one platform, which, I'm telling you, I don't think is going to happen anytime soon. How you feel about Tank vacating and people saying he ducking Colbert? I like it because I said it. You know what I'm saying? I like it because, and look, and that is the duck. Technically speaking, that is a duck because that was the number one contender at 130 pounds, and that's the only belt that Gervonta Tank Davis has. Gervonta Davis does not have a real title at 135 pounds or 140 pounds. And do not tell me that he cannot make the weight, because he made the weight the fight before last against Leo Santa Cruz. And he said that he could make the weight. He made the weight against Leo Santa Cruz. He can make the fight. He can make that fight against Chris Colbert. But you know what's going to happen to Chris Colbert? Because Chris Colbert is going to be an extremely good fighter that never gets any shine because other really good fighters won't fight him. And I don't care what comes out of Chris Colbert's mouth, where Chris Colbert says, "Yeah, I understand why he's not making the fight because the money and time will go." No, dog. There's never going to be a time. There's never going to be a time, Chris, if you're not asking for that fight, dog. You know what I mean? But yeah, I say that look, if you don't fight, you're mandatory. That is and you vacate your belt, move up in weight so that you don't fight somebody. That, technically speaking, is a duck. As many type of ways as people are calling things ducks, right? Where you got like Gary Russell Jr., who's not even in the same weight class as Devin Haney, ducking Devin Haney because he's not moving up 2 weight classes. You can call that a duck. You know what I mean? Rolly Romero ain't, you got people ducking people that ain't even in the same weight class. You know what I'm saying? That's what people are saying. So no. If you move up and out of a weight class where you're the champion and you don't fight that contender, I think that's a duck. Absolutely, I think it's a duck. Now here's the counter argument to it is that Chris Colbert, I thought Chris Colbert was nuts for saying he understood that. Because at a certain point in time, said sending continued support, love your lives and channel, brother. Thank you, man. Be easy. Much love in that super chat, man. Hey, because them super chats matter, man. I'm telling you, I appreciate you guys when you do it. They matter, man. Thank you very much. Don't think you're doing a small thing by supporting. You are really supporting, and I really, really appreciate it. Look, man, we got to start calling for fights that are good fights without we're so brainwashed with the business interests of the promoters that there'll be a good fight looking you dead in the face and nobody's asking for it because it's just a foregone conclusion that the fight will never happen. And that's the thing with Chris Colbert, because even I was sitting there thinking like, oh, that fight will never happen. Then I was like, hold on. Why shouldn't that fight happen? Why shouldn't Gervonta Davis fight Chris Colbert? It's not like Chris Colbert isn't a legitimate threat. He's as big a threat as Ryan Garcia is. He's as big a threat as Jesus Cuellar was. You know what I'm saying? He's as big a threat. He's the biggest threat as Mario Barrios was. So why shouldn't Chris Colbert get the fight? And why shouldn't we want the fights? You know what I mean? Like it's silly, dude. Like people be like I could understand if it's a fighter that isn't like an exceptional fighter. Man, Wayne Dash, thank you so much for the support, man. He said, following suit and showing some support for the live. Thank you, man. Appreciate it, man. Much appreciated, man. Thank you so much, Wayne Dash. You guys, and people do support in the chat every day, so it's greatly appreciated, man. Fannon, I think Lil B-Hop just didn't want that smoke. I can't believe that, man. I can't believe it. I just don't think he wants to upset the apple cart, and he thinks if he waits in time, he's going to get the fight. Similar to like Jaron Ennis, where Jaron Ennis is not somebody that's calling out Terrence Crawford. He's not, but look, that is not on the fighter, dude. That's on the boxing fans. The boxing fans are the ones that tell you which fights they want to see because we're the ones paying for the fights. But when boxing fans act like, when boxing fans are acting like reasonable fights that can definitely be made, can't be made, man, it's just not being truthful, dude. It's not being true. Because you know full well that you can be. That those fights can be made, especially if you push the fight, and you get behind the fight and you talk about the fight. Those fights can be made. And we can get better fights, man. Chris Colbert is better than several of the fights, man. Baltimore rocks in that super chat, man. Thank you for that support, man. Said, of course, Chris is going to agree if he gets a legit title on the platter for him, and it's ego boost to know Tank don't want the smoke. Yeah, Chris Colbert is going to want that fight, man. Just like Jaron Ennis is going to want the fight. I don't know, you guys are ops or something, but that's boxing fans not wanting their guy to fight certain people. You know what I mean? Like even like the Gervonta Davis Teofimo Lopez fight. Now I could say I would rather see the Gervonta Davis Teofimo Lopez fight than the Gervonta Davis versus Chris Colbert fight. But if you know who Chris Colbert is, you got to know that is going to be a super entertaining fight because both of those guys come to fight. Chris Colbert is not somebody that's out there not in the mix. He's out there somebody that is vulnerable at times, man, to shots. But he's also got somebody that's got tremendous hand speed, tremendous foot speed, tremendous athleticism, dude. And to see two young black fighters fight each other who are both athletic, I'm telling you, man, that could really do things for the sport. But what we keep seeing is Gervonta Davis matched up against flat-footed fighters, in a way that makes Gervonta Davis look good. And personally, I don't think Gervonta Davis needs that. I think Gervonta Davis can beat these guys, but he can't beat them if he never fights them. And if people get it upset by saying, oh no, he could never be ducking, man. If that dude if that guy is the number one rated fighter in your division and you drop a belt and you drop your belt, I don't know what else you want to say. And I'm telling you, I don't want to hear anything about Gary Russell Jr. not being able to make that weight. I mean, about Gervonta Davis not being able to make that weight, because he made the weight just fine for Leo Santa Cruz. He moved up to 140, but y'all coming to Tank. That's not coming to Tank. That's what I'm saying. That's not coming at Tank. I'm coming at boxing fans that don't want to see the fight. I don't get why you wouldn't want to see the fight. That just, to me, doesn't make any sense. Why a perfectly good fight that you know would be entertaining, and you say, I don't want that fight because Tank is doing what? Because Tank is going to fight who? I mean, seriously, who do you think he's going to fight next? Rolly Romero? I got money says he doesn't fight Rolly Romero. And he's going to be ordered to fight Rolly Romero for a secondary belt when the WBA is under all of that. I understand, he said Fannon, his handlers are not letting him take the fight. That's not, truthfully speaking, that's not my business. My understanding is that the boxer is supposed to be the boss. If the boxer is the boss, then the boxer can try to make that fight. Gervonta Tank Davis is a grown man. And he has the ability to ask Floyd Mayweather Jr. to make a fight for him against a guy that people want to see him fight. You realize that we're never going to see him fight Shakur Stevenson either, right? No Shakur Stevenson fight, no Gary Russell Jr. fight, no Chris Colbert fight for Gervonta. But you're going to praise him for Jesus Cuellar and Yuriorkis Gamboa, Mario Barrios, you know? Kane 513 said, Fannon, you know Floyd ain't having it. Hey, look, what can I do? You know, what can I do? Look, man, we got to talk about something in boxing. You know what I mean? We got to see something in boxing. And can somebody tell me the next 3 good fights? Put in the comment section the next 3 good fights in boxing. I dare you to tell me who they are. 3 good fights. I bet you can. I can go with 3 good fights. It's difficult to get to 5. It's difficult to get to 5. Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury, Caleb Plant, Canelo Alvarez, Terrence Crawford versus, and this is for Fahim Sator, Terrence Crawford, Joshua versus Usyk, Terrence Crawford versus Sean Porter. Got to 4. After that, what? And there's plenty of good fighters, but we're not very imaginative in the type of fights that we're asking for, the fights that we think really can take place. That's where I am with it. Because just my man Wayne Dash said Joshua Usyk, Josh Taylor versus anybody. Nah, no. Josh Taylor versus no. Josh Taylor had one against Jose Ramirez. But Josh Taylor versus anybody, you a big Josh Taylor fan, though. But Josh Taylor is a good guy. I don't like Josh Taylor because he talks shit about me and didn't even know what my name was. Shame on him. But it is what it is. We should have already gotten confirmation on the Castano versus Charlo rematch. Yeah. It's Inoue versus Donaire too. AJ versus Wilder. That's almost, I want to see the Taylor Prograis rematch. But those are real fights, man, that can really happen. And it's no reason, seriously, man, there's no reason that those fights can't happen except for us as boxing fans really not asking for or trying to make those fights happen, man. But, you know, it is what it is, man. If you guys don't want the fights, you guys don't want the fights. I want the fights. Cresta Legend said, Fannon, Gary Russell Jr. is not willing to move to 130 and Tank not going to 126 and I would not drain myself for Gary Russell Jr. Now, that's no doubt about it, but Gary Russell did say he'd move up to 130 for that fight. He said he'd move up to 135 for Gervonta Davis. I just think that's a very, very tough fight for Gervonta Davis, you know. I think it's a tough fight for him, man. Not easy money at all. Man, my man, Frequent Flyer RC in that building. Thank you for the support, man. Said Fannon, you remember Tank said they made him fight Pedraza when he thought he himself wasn't ready. They said they tried to make him lose. He's not a boss. Yeah, I didn't understand that, man. Like, I didn't understand that. I mean, and Tank will tell you when he's not ready for somebody, because Tank wasn't playing with that Keith Thurman stuff. He's like, man, y'all think I'm Superman. I ain't moving all up in weight to fight that dude. Said that African heavyweight is a beast. I forgot his name, though. You talking about Ife Ajagbe? I think there's a couple other, but I think you might be talking about Ife Ajagbe. Yeah, Ife Ajagbe is a good fighter, man. Without a doubt, man. He's a good fighter, man. It's all your. Hey, are you updating on women's boxing? I don't talk about a lot of women's boxing. I want to see Amanda Serrano versus Katie Taylor. I hope that those guys fight. That's a fight that I'm looking forward to. But once Jessica McCaskill beat up Cecilia Brækhus, I kind of lost it for a little while, you know, because I was a fan of Cecilia Brækhus, and I think, you know, it's over for Cecilia Brækhus. But there are some good fights that could happen. I wouldn't mind seeing a rematch between Clarissa Shields and Franchon. I always mess up her name. Franchon DeZorn Cruz and Clarissa Shields, or to see Katie Taylor versus Amanda Serrano. I would love to see that fight, but you know, there's just not a lot going on in women's boxing. But I talk about it when the time is right. John Mayfield says, number 1, Spence versus Bud. 2, Bud versus Porter. 3, Canelo versus Plant. 4, Fury versus Wilder. And 5, Tank versus any black fighter. Exactly, man. Let the guy fight a black fighter. Hey, Floyd Mayweather, will you please let him fight a black fighter? Okay, stop with the chicanery and the bullshittery, because that's, excuse my language, the chicanery. He can fight a black fighter, man. Man, Camille Oz in that super chat, coming in heavy in that super chat. Thank you so much, man. Because I guarantee you, I'm working for you today, man. I am on no sleep, man. Camille Oz said, corporate America and man fans are demanding that Ugas, who has been ducked for some time, jump at the drop of the hat to fight the same dudes who want to know parts of him before the IBF and WBO okayed. IBF and WBO okayed Charlo Castano too. Yeah, that's what's up. Look, you're talking about he don't want to have him not fight? Look, man, I'll tell you this, man. I certainly hope that Yordenis Ugas don't go Hollywood, dog. Okay? I hope he doesn't go Hollywood, dog. But I appreciate that we got another welterweight in the picture, because Yordenis Ugas, who was it he said that he wasn't in a rush to fight? Sean Porter. He said he wasn't in a rush. He wasn't in a rush to fight. But hey, look, man, you're going to have to fight somebody, man. And those are the guys that are at welterweight to do it. But I hope that Yordenis Ugas doesn't do what's the name? The other guy that got an upset win, Andy Ruiz, doesn't do an Andy Ruiz start feeling himself. And because, he's a good fighter, but, come on, man. We got to see the fights. You know what I'm saying? But look, if you know me, you know that I get on pretty much everybody about that, because I want to see Errol Spence Jr. fight Keith Thurman, and that ain't changing. That is not changing for me, man. And thank you. Hey, by the way, man, thank you. That yellow woke me up. Just so you know, I appreciate you so much, man. It is work on this channel, man, and I love doing these live streams every day with you guys. And when you support the channel like that, man, it definitely keeps it bumping. Share the videos, share all that stuff, help the channel grow, all that good stuff. Robert Williams said, Fannon, these fighters not giving out rematches, at least Pacquiao did. Hey, Pacquiao, now look, while I vacillate, man, Pacquiao is the man for that. Pacquiao will fight you again in a heartbeat, except for one guy he didn't give a rematch to. The only guy he didn't give a rematch to that really wanted the rematch was when he lost to, he didn't demand a rematch. Hold on. Does he give rematches when he wins? Yes. He gives rematches when he gave 3 rematches to Juan Manuel Marquez, and I am forever grateful for that. Those were great. That is the best of Manny Pacquiao right there. The Juan Manuel Marquez, Manny Pacquiao, that's the best of Manny Pacquiao. Those two guys, and honestly, man, in my opinion, those fighters are Juan Manuel Marquez and Manny Pacquiao really should be considered what for their career, because both of those guys were excellent fighters, and they were like, that was like a mini version or a higher skilled version of Arturo Gatti, Mickey Ward. I could still watch the fight. All of those fights are exciting, man. It's just, but when they both got in there with Floyd, that's all she wrote, buddy. You said, okay, 3 black fighters. My bad. You talking about, what are you talking about? 3 black fighters that Gervonta Davis has fought? You gotta come on, man. We can't be doing no black fighters. Black fighters doing no black fighters. You know what I'm saying? Black fighters doing no black fighters is kind of fucked up. At least in the welterweight division, you don't see that. And you don't really see that in the heavyweight division. But in that lightweight, but down there, come on, man. First of all, you guys know you could be fighting Gary Russell Jr. And I do not believe that Gary Russell Jr. it's all on Gary Russell Jr. why he's not getting these fights. But that is one avoided little dude over there at 126 pounds, man. Manny ducked Juan Guzman. I never thought about that. Man. Him ducking Juan Guzman. Juan Guzman was a good fighter, man. I have to look at his fights again to kind of, refresh my mind on how he fought. But shoot, man, Manny didn't duck a lot of smoke. I'll tell you that. Manny was going to get in there with Errol Spence Jr. and get blasted out of there. Man. He was about to get blasted out of there, but he gave him the fight. He was seriously considering Terrence Crawford, but Bob Arum stood in the way because he said he knew how that fight was going to go. And, that makes sense, man. Packroyd said, Russell ducked Haney, bro. Look, I need to know the rules on ducking, okay? I need to know we have to have some uniform duck rules. I don't think you can duck somebody 2 weight classes above you. You can turn down the fight, but I don't think you can duck somebody 2 weight classes above you. That just doesn't make sense to me. I don't think it's possible for a welterweight to duck Jamal Charlo. Oscar Valdez ducked Shakur. They're in the same weight class. They're both 130s. They're both 130-pound fighters. Yeah, Oscar Valdez ducked Shakur. But I just don't see logically, besides all the conversation, because trust me, I was in the middle of all that conversation going on, in the middle of all those conversations going on between Manny Pacquiao and between Devin Haney and Gary Russell Jr. They were on my channel. The whole thing happened when I was around it. I read the agreements, or I skimmed the agreements, and I can tell you this. I don't care about none of that. If you are a 126 pounder and the guy that you're talking about fighting is a 135 pounder, that is not a duck. You are not in the same weight class. How can you tell me that is a duck, but at the same time tell me that Gary Russell Jr. didn't duck the Chris Colbert fight? And here's the thing. It would have been ordered. The WBA is ordering a lot of fights, man. And the WBA is going to order Chris Colbert to fight for that vacant title. So he vacated it. He didn't just wake up one morning and say, oh, I just don't want to do it. There had to be some reason. They had to have given him a choice and say, look, man, what are you going to do? Because otherwise, we got to get rid of these belts, and we got to get rid of some of these belts. Otherwise, we're not going to be able to put on fights in the United States. So what you want to do? So he dropped the belt instead of fighting the guy that was going to get ordered. And the number one contender, and he is available, was Chris Colbert. And I'm telling you, Chris Colbert was going to give Gervonta Davis problems because he's a very, very good fighter. So if that's not a duck, then how can Gary Russell Jr., who was at 126 and Devin Haney who's at 135. How is that a duck? You realize that Gary Russell Jr. probably comes up to the middle of the chest of Devin Haney? You know what I'm saying? It's just, to me, it doesn't make a lot of sense, man. And it sounds like sounds like a lot of clout chasing, a lot of clout chasing or headline making. Either way it goes. Kamal Oz said there's a lot of clout chasing and cap going on with Haney and Gary Russell Jr. There was no money in it. That was exposed to get Haney visibility. Hearn was manipulating a lot of that. Look, man, all I can tell you is I don't want nothing to do with that conversation. Don't like having that conversation. You know, it was a whole situation all the way around. I was like, man, look, I understand boxing's a dirty business now, for real. Charles all will find me. Much love in that super chat, man. Fannon, why are you forcing over Tank? The boy finds it difficult to make 130 pounds. Think about that before criticizing him, bro. Bull Pucky. Gervonta Davis made 130 pounds the fight before last and said he didn't have any problem making it. Gervonta Davis is not that big a dude. He is a 135 pound fighter. He just made it. He just made the weight. The weight before. But if you want to say that he dropped it because of his weight, he should have dropped it a long time ago. Shouldn't have fought for it. Should have fought at 135. But he just defended his time. The fight before last, he was at 130. He went from 130 to 135, back down to 130, up to 140. He can make any one of those fights, man. He can make that. Man, Tank ain't that big, man. Now, Tank may have at a certain point lacked a little bit of discipline and allows himself to blow up in between fights. So it may be tough for him to bring that weight down. But if Tank is keeping his weight around the weight that he's supposed to be at, he can absolutely make that. He can absolutely make that weight. But, you know, people don't want to go with me. I'm okay with that. But you guys keep waiting around for the next flat-footed Hispanic fighter for Tank to fight. And then we'll say, okay, another Tank celebration. I want to see good fights, man. You know what I'm saying? That's what I want to see. I want to see good fights. DJ Air Alert said Roy messed up his body moving up weight classes so dramatically. Yeah, and he put on all that weight for heavyweight. He messed his body up putting all that weight. That muscle never came out. You can still see how big Roy Jones is. You know, yeah, he messed that. He lost his reflexes putting all that extra muscle on. But you know what it is? He went for the gusto and he made it. But he just probably shouldn't have came back down. But he wasn't going to be long for heavyweight because, you know, John Ruiz was probably one of the worst heavyweight champions that I can remember in a while. I think John Ruiz would have lost to several of those little guys up in there, man. But hey, he made the fights, you know. At least he tried to make the fight. DJ Air Alert said, I'm surprised there was no KO in those GGG Canelo fights. Canelo got a chin. And so does Gennady Golovkin. I wouldn't have mind seeing a third fight between the two of between the two of those fighters, though, you know. Petty Killmonger said, Raleigh is undisciplined and sloppy. Easy fight for Tank, short night. Not paying pay-per-view for that. And if we get Riley Romero and you guys are happy about that, come on, man. Shame on you, man. Hey, hold on 1 second. I was about to get my dog to stop barking in my ear, man. Wayne Dash said Devin Haney is B-level fighter at best. Overhyped. No, he's an A. I think he's an A-level fighter. He needs a chance to prove that he just needs a chance to prove it. Like Ryan Garcia needs a chance to prove it, right? I think that Gervonta Davis has already proven it, but Chris Colbert needs a chance to prove it and needs to have a chance to prove it for real, not just never having a good fight, man. Like, it's just kind of sad, man. Like, if it's like fantasy boxing, that's why they need to bring that damn video game back. They need to bring the video game back so at least in the video game, you can have some interest created between these guys fighting, man. I've had more fun. I had more fun when playing those video games with Ali versus Lennox Lewis than you actually get to make the matches. But we don't even get that anymore. Jess Dev said people are buying freak shows in boxing like Jake Paul fights because the real boxers in their prime and same weight class are ducking each other. Yeah, and the guys that are in the, what do you call them, the promotional outfits. Yeah, I'm talking about Fight Night, man. That used to be the stuff right there. Was Fight Night. That used to be a lot of fun, man. I couldn't play a video game now to save my life, even though I probably should, man, to distract myself. But because I think it's good for distracting you. But I stopped playing video games like, I don't know, 10 years ago or something like that, late. But man, that game used to be fun, man. It's your boy Al. Do you think Inoue can get on heavier weights? There's no competition for him in his current division. I think 120, he could probably go up to 122, but I think at 122, that's probably about it for Monster Inoue, because Monster Inoue pretty much, I think he's going to start having problems with guys' size and then being able to take his punch. But Monster Inoue is the top guy at 118 right now. Man, and I'm supporting Monster Inoue now. He's definitely the top guy there because I don't like Casemiro. I ain't gonna lie. Now I know you guys are gonna call me Filipino haters now, but I do not like that dude. I like that dude where I'm gonna watch. I'm not gonna ignore his fights. I like that he publicizes himself and he talks a lot of smack, but I don't think he's that good a fighter, man. I mean, he should have been able to do something to catch Rigondeaux. It wasn't like Rigondeaux could get away from a bigger, should be slower Vasily Lomachenko like that, Man, that would be FSU OKC WG3 said, I want to see Inoue versus Russell at 126. Yeah, that would be great. But, that's a lot of wishful thinking on that one, man. Do I think Cabela beats Charlotte after how he looked in his last two fights? You thinking Canelo beats Charlo after how he looks in his last two fights? Man, you making me do word puzzles. Do I think? I don't know, man. I don't know because I want to see the fight. I don't know because I don't really know. I haven't seen Canelo Alvarez really fight anybody, man. What is your definition of the face of boxing? I think it's the person that you think of first when you think of the sport of boxing. And I think that's a different person for everybody. There isn't really one right now. And it's definitely not Jake Paul, because I think Jake Paul says something about him being the face of boxing. Like, man, will you stop, dude? Like, seriously, man, stop. It's insulting to boxing fans, man. And it's so stupid, Fannon, do you think Gary Antonio Russell will ever get a shot at Inoue? I think he could. Yeah, I think he could, man. He seemed like he's getting his shots and he's getting on fight cards. So I think he will. That's my new guy down there at 118. I think he'll get a shot. I think Monster Inoue coming, but the problem is, of course, is the promotional thing with Top Rank and ESPN. We need an end to the Cold War between Top Rank and the PBC. You know what I mean? And even Golden Boy in the PBC, man. I wish that they had. I wish they could end that stuff that's going on. Said Wayne Dash said, "What boxer is Charlotte? I'm confused. That's a new guy. I'm missing box. He's meaning Charlo versus Canelo versus Charlo. That's the only one that makes sense." James Hill said, "I would love to see Tank versus Oscar Valdez." Much love in that super chat. That's why I want to see Tank at 130, because I don't even see it. Dude, there's a higher likelihood of us getting good fights with Tank at 130 than Tank at 135. But if Tank gets to 135 and he doesn't make one of these fights in the next couple fights, man, it's just kind of like stop. Because hold on one second. Let me do something real quick. I think Riley Romero's too easy money. All right, Mario Barrios, Leo Santa Cruz was a good fight, but Gamboa, Nunes, Ruiz, Cuellar, Fonseca, Liam Walsh, Pedraza. Man, these guys, they're just not no black fighters on there, man. It's just no black fighters on there, man. And that's the thing that's getting me, dude. There's just no black fighters, man. So when are you going to show us what your dog looks like? I got an Anatolian Shepherd. That's the dog that you hear boxing. And I've shown people what he's looked like a good amount, man. You know what I mean? He said G-Code said a word puzzle. Yeah. Sometimes you got to make sense of it because people use, he probably has an accent and was talking into his phone at the same time. So you just got to kind of make it work, man. My man says, Fannon, imagine if Bud beats Ugas and Arrow and became undisputed at 147, then move up to undisputed at 154. He would be a 4-division world champion, a 4-division champion, 3-division unified, undisputed. Yeah, and that is definitely Hall of Fame. That is definitely Hall of Fame category. Exactly, said King Jude, exactly. Flat-footed punching bags. Like, you can't expect me to cheer for that. And for me not to say, look, man, I know it's possible to do better than that. You know what I'm saying? But look, I'm going to get up out of here, man, a little early today. I want to say thank you to everybody in the chat that came by to chat. Thank you for supporting. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll be back tomorrow at the same time, all that good stuff. And with that, I'm out. Peace.